Call the meeting to order for the Natural Resource Committee with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Brock, has the public notification of this meeting been done in accordance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I have a second. Second by Councilman Glover. Without exception, the agenda is approved. I hope everyone had a chance to look at the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
and second by Councilman Glover. Without exception, the minutes from the last meeting are approved. At this time, do we have any citizens' comments? No citizens' comments? Okay. None from the public, nobody online?
Okay.
All right. The first thing on the agenda is the Beaufort Conservation District, and I think we have online someone who's going to go over that with us. Is that
I
right?
do, yes, ma'am. And they just unmuted Miss Shelby. and
Miss Shelby?
Denise.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The floor is yours.
Hey everybody, it's good to see you again. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It is Denise Parsick here, Commissioner with Shelby Berry, District Manager. And I think we have online Kenyatta Render. So if you can just look at the first slide. Someone have the slides?
She's bringing them up. There you go.
Yes, awesome. Okay, so this is our FY21 annual report highlights. I have to be reminded that the dates for that are July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2021, because it seems like a long time since some of the things that are going to be discussed here. And of course, that was the year out of you know what for a lot of people in terms of trying to have business as usual. We maintain our mission statement that you see here in front of you, and I think most of you know the work that we do, but we're going to highlight some of the things for that year. If we can go to the next slide. We are 5 commissioners, 2 appointed and 3 elected. And a combination of the 5 of us, we have over 120 years of service. We are non-paid volunteers, and so as Brian Flowing once said, we definitely get a bang for our buck with the Conservation District. At this point, I would like to introduce Kenyatta Render. She is our new district conservationist, and she will go over the next couple slides for you about our federal partnership with USDA and the Natural Resource Conservation Service.
Hi everyone, I'm Kenyatta Render. I work down here in the Ridgeland Field Office with NRCS. I cover Jasper and Beaufort counties. And so I started here in May, so I just want to talk about a couple of things that I've been obligated since I started in May 2021. So first I want to start with the seasonal high tunnels. We had a couple of seasonal high tunnels that were obligated last year, and that ranged from about $17,800. And then we had some forestry practices that were installed, and that was about $42,000. And then also I will be available in the Beaufort County on Tuesday starting tomorrow by appointment only. So if you know anybody that have any questions or want to, work with NRCS to address resource concerns, I'll be available in the area. And then also I'll be available, any other time by appointment only.
Thank you, Kenyatta, and we are certainly pleased to have her on board with us. we've been a length of time between district conservationists, so she's really been a blessing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody have any questions for Kenyatta?
I had a question. If they want to meet with her, where would they meet? Over at Crystal Lake, probably, or on site?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So just call the office, and the conference room is available, and we already have our first appointment for tomorrow.
Great. Is it, any other council members have questions about what she'll be doing? Okay. Go ahead.
All righty. The next slide is actually not part of the 21 annual report, but we felt that if you'll go to the next slide, but we really felt that this is a really important topic to discuss now. Most of you probably know that feral hogs have been an issue in the state of South Carolina for some time, and they are prolific breeders. They are extremely problematic, both with landowners and farmers. They have been reported here to our office from the Haven, Palmetto Bluff, and right there in y'all's neighborhood of the Beaufort County New Riverside Passive Park site. In addition, we have learned that there's been a pair of feral hogs removed from Hilton Head Island as well. So unfortunately, for the most part, this is a human problem. It is humans that are bringing them in to certain areas for hunting. But the damages that are done are out of park. So we just wanted to let you be alerted to this issue if you haven't already been. Any questions?
Councilman Glover.
Yeah, Denise, always good to hear your voice and to see you. I want to go back to invasive species, and one of the and I don't know, but if we talk about invasive species that's out there at the Crystal Lake, we have the Chinese tallow there. It'd be great to at least make a recommendation on how to get rid of that for as a project that you may want to do yourself, or you may want the county involved with it. If we're going to be talking about that, I think we need to demonstrate that we can see it around us. Let's try to remove it, and it's not that hard, but I guess we got to make an effort to do so. So I just want to make that comment, because every time I walk the trail, I see and I say, we need to be doing something about it. Thank you.
May I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Sorry, did I interrupt someone?
Well, I was going to just say that I believe Stephanie Naggett has made arrangements for someone to start working on the tallow.
Great.
Now, way back before the building was remodeled, friends of Crystal Lake were actually purchasing the pest or the herbicide to kill the tallow. You kind of have to do they call it hack and squirt. So you actually have to cut way into the tree. I guess they use a hatchet or something, and then they squirt the poison in. It's hard to get rid of, but it is a big problem.
Okay. I think we had another question.
Yeah, I have a question about the feral hogs on Hilton Head. Could you explain a little bit more about that? You think that these were transported here and then were turned loose in the community? And when they were removed, where were they removed from?
Well, actually, USDA APHIS out of the fellow, the head of that office, Noel Myers. He said they actually knew about them and captured them and hoped that those were the only two. And they dispatch the hogs, meaning they take them and euthanize them. And these pictures here are recent from this fall. The Haven is actually paying APHIS to do this hog removal. They're concerned, though, that the herd is also in the New Riverside Park, so which is adjacent to the Haven area. But they're coming right up to people's yards and right up. That's somebody's house.
I'd like to add.
I just want to back up and get those two questions answered.
Okay.
You believe that somebody transported them to Hilton Head?
Yes.
And if so, where were they turned loose, and where did they find them and remove them from?
I would have to talk to Mr. Myers to get that specific detail from him, but they did get them, and they just killed them. So.
Yeah, but okay, I don't want to beat this to death, but when they found them, they were roaming free. They weren't penned up somewhere at someone's residence or a farm or a large piece of property. They were roaming freely. Is that right?
I will have to double check on that.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
But he said they had to capture them, so.
I don't know if any of you have ever seen the damage they can do, but it's horrendous, the damage these feral hogs can do and it also destroys habitat for other native animals in our area. So
yeah, it will be good to find out what the impressions are of the people who remove these two, what they seem to think the extent of the problem is here on Hilton Head, and perhaps what we might be able to do to do something about it, or provide them with whatever assistance they need to address that problem.
Yes, and it is believed that generally speaking, they are brought in.
yes, Councilman Sullivan.
Could you comment a little bit on I see pollinators on there. Could you comment a little bit on what we're doing on pollinators?
Well, we just had a pollinator contest, poster contest with the children in Beaufort County. One of the things that's been new is, of course, we don't have solar panels much here, but pollinator habitats are being considered for under solar panels, so that it's not considered a waste of the space.
I'm not sure who did the pollinator habitat, but generally, if a lot of times that can be done by cover crops and filling in, just habitat. If you're going to do some planting, then it's to put the pollinator, the species that will attract pollinators in.
Thank you.
Is always a good.
Kenyatta, are you still with us? Do you have something you can add to that?
No.
Okay, sorry about that. We'll find out more about that for you.
Thanks.
Do you think it would be possible to get a point of contact at the USDA that I can talk to?
Yes.
Okay.
And who are you?
My name is Larry McKellen. I represent District 10 on Hilton Head. And if you could get that information to the county administrator, that would be just perfect.
Okay. Do you want me to just email his information?
That would be perfect. That would be perfect, and I'll get it from him.
Okie dokie.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your interest. All right, let's move on to the next slide about our state partnership with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. A lot of people think of DNR as just being law enforcement, but the other side of the house is water conservation and working with the 46 conservation districts in South Carolina. South Carolina Conservation District is a member of the South Carolina State Conservation District. They also have, and a member of the National Association. They also have an employee association and provide training. If you go to the next slide, it shows again about the state, national, and district employees' participation in our training and continuing education for commissioners and staff. If you'll go to the next slide, we recently hosted the South Carolina Conservation District Employee Association here in Beaufort. Shelby put a lot of effort. We had over 40 participants from around the state, and many of them, it was their first time in Beaufort, and they had a wonderful time. So we appreciate being able to, despite COVID, to put on and have such a great attendance. Of course, we wore masks and social distance. Next slide. So, of course, the third leg of our stool here is the county partnership. With us being here at Crystal Lake Passive Park, we greeted over 365 visitors and county staff this year. We provided outreach activity booklets to students, technical assistance for DNR, and distributed Friends of Hunting Island memberships. During COVID lockdowns, Crystal Lake Park continued to be a great place to visit and enjoy nature outside. And because of the diversity of the lake, there's just so many things. If nothing else, the difference in the salinity of the water in the lake from the closest to the building to farthest back really produces a variety and a diversity of wildlife, as you can see. Any questions? All righty, next slide, please.
She's got it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. We have been members of the Together for Beaufort County Human Service Alliance since its inception in early 2006. We are the Water Quality Coalition chairs, so we manage all those entities that deal with natural resources and water quality. And we've recently joined with the Low Country Stormwater Partners, rather than, we do some of the same things. We work together. So one of the things that we do is we keep stakeholders informed of the water quality issues and outreach opportunities. And the biggest thing probably is that we contribute to the MS4 education report required for the stormwater permits in Beaufort County. That's very extensive. And of course, we had the cute coloring contest. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. So this is just another picture showing, the federal, the state, and the county participation that helps make Beaufort County Conservation District integral in helping citizens. So you see the things that we've discussed already on cost shares and land easements and workshops that the NRCS does, as well as education outreach, resources, and the various state and federal agencies through DNR. And we really appreciate Beaufort County's support of the Conservation District here at Crystal Lake Park. We're proud to serve here.
I'd just like to make a comment that we really appreciate how you work with us with the land easements over the years, and the partnerships with USDA is so important to our Rural and Critical Lands program. Yes, Councilman Somerville.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on what Alice said, and if you look at our budget, you'll find a line item on our budget for the Conservation District, and you may ask yourself, well, what is that for? Well, you've seen some of the things that they do, but they also have a tremendous educational outreach program into the different schools in the county, and which we don't have time to talk about it in detail, but it's a really exhaustive program. But beyond that, just as a LOCOG acts as a conduit for a lot of the grants that we get from, for example, community development block grants are a good example, that LOCOG is a conduit for. The Conservation District is a conduit for USDA loans, and without them, we would have missed out on literally millions of dollars worth of loans over the decades. So they serve a very critical purpose, even though they're kind of out of sight, out of mind, and a lot of council members don't interact with them and don't see them enough to really understand what they do. But they are important and critical to us in so many ways. So I just want to thank them for all the work they do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Next slide. So, we have a lot of other significant partners, none to the extent of the previous three, but just some, for example, Keep Beaufort County Beaufort. We have an Keep Beaufort County Clean, sorry. Carol Murphy has been an active board member on that for several years. The Friends of Hunting Island, we, support each other. Farm Bureau is been critical with our Eco Camp and Kids Fest, which, as you know, is a huge county-wide effort. Port Royal Farmers Market has sort of been our go-to place for Earth Day, and we have the Conservation District has been organizing Earth Day for over 30 years. We started in 1990 at the 20th anniversary, and we, continue on to this day. One of our newest partners is the Friends of Cypress Wetlands. We got a grant from the RC&D, Resource Conservation and Development, to develop a Cypress Wetlands activity book for children, and we have produced hundreds of those. We've given them to the entire Port Royal Elementary School. They're at the office at Town Hall, and now they're available to the Friends of Cypress Wetlands to give out when they do their tours. Kids Fest planning, which was eliminated because of COVID the last 2 years, actually, because they're kind of early, is in full swing of being developed. Next. So even with COVID, there were some opportunities for out in the fields festivals. We participated in Paris Island's Earth Day. We also participated with Keep Broad Creek Clean, distributed marine debris posters. We were in Port Royal for the Oktoberfest with our program Back from the Belfry. And we did a virtual STEAM festival at Port Royal Sound Maritime Center, again with the marine debris posters. Next. So one of the important things that we do with some schools is it's statewide South Carolina Green Step schools. So these schools are already doing important environmental things at their school, and this is an opportunity for them to receive state recognition. So we are mentors, the Conservation District staff are mentors, and we help schools select 6 projects under the categories of conserve, protect, and restore. And in particular, we've worked with 3 schools, Whale Branch, Port Royal, and River Ridge Academy. Next. So some of the other education programs that we've done, You can see on the left, our education specialist, Debbie Way, with our snake checkers. This is actually Checkers the second. We had Checkers for 30 years of service in schools before he passed away. And unfortunately, we can't keep Checkers 2 right here in the building, but Port Royal Sound Maritime Center keeps them for us until we need them. And so we used the Zoom method this year for the snakes program, and then also Pam Floyd, another education specialist, did a Zoom for FERS. We conducted a poster contest talking about pollinators, and you can see two of the winners below that we hosted here at Crystal Lake Park. And then off to the right is our probably world famous soil tunnel. It's a 3-part program where children actually go through. It's really 2 tables side by side covered, and the inside inserts, they have a flashlight, and they'll find all kinds of things that you would find, whether it's paintings of septic tanks or wells or rabbits or spiders or snakes. And in addition to that activity, they also learn, and as you can see the 2 pictures below, they learn about the value of worms in soil. And believe it or not, sometimes the girls are more willing than the boys to hold the snake, to hold the worms. The third part of that is that they learn about, they do a soil profile, they color a soil profile and learn about the different layers in soil. Okay. We've had an eco camp for over 30 years, and we were really looking forward to this year, but because of COVID, we could not do that. But we changed that and had Friday Adventure Days instead and focused on families. All of these were done right here at Crystal Lake Park with families coming in, again with checkers, with bird watching. We got a grant from RC Indeed, our very generous partners there, for a classroom set of binoculars. And so you can just see the excitement of the kids, on the boardwalk there with their binoculars. In addition, did fish printing. We had the raptors, and it was so exciting. The owl actually coughed up a owl pellet. And we had done owl pellet, dissecting owl pellets. So it was really awesome. And then we did have one day out at Hunting Island. The Friends of Hunting Island treated us to lunch and several programs where we did fish printing and some other activities. All righty. For the Leadership Beaufort class has asked us to be part of their environmental day. And so we hosted about 30 some odd students, quote unquote, and at Crystal Lake, and sort of kind of gave them the history of what we've been doing in Beaufort County in so far as water quality. We shared the document, a task force, a blueprint for clean water, which was what we actually, used in the beginning to determine, okay, where do we need to go? What's been done? And where do we need to go from here? And then one of the other documents was the next 10 steps. So we're really pleased to be on their itinerary, and we look forward to many more years helping them understand the concerns of Beaufort County and water quality. And just a little, all our different partners for various reasons. And we're grateful to all of them. Does anybody have any questions?
Anybody online have questions? No? Well, thank you so much for everything you do for our community and our county and particularly our young people. That's the wave of that's our future, and we appreciate you taking the time today to go over what you've done in the last year. Any other
Thank
questions or comments? No? All right.
Thank you, and thank you all for your support and an interest in us.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is number 8, which is an ordinance regarding a text amendment to the Community Development Code, Section 4.1.70, drive-through facilities to clarify standards for drive-throughs in transit zones. This is, if this goes through committee, the first reading would be next week. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year. What we're looking at today is a text amendment to Article 4 of our Community Development Code. And this particular amendment applies to drive-throughs in 3 different districts, T2 Center, T4 Hamlet Center Open, and T4 Neighborhood Center. And all 3 of these districts share in common that they're the purpose of those districts is to create a pedestrian-friendly Main Street type of commercial district. And in those cases, we allow drive-through uses, but we require within the district that the drive-through lane is not wrapping around the building like a conventional drive-through, that the building can contribute to a pedestrian-friendly commercial district. In looking over and reviewing a particular project recently, we realized that we could probably beef up the language in Article 4 to be much more specific about that. We already have requirements in the districts themselves, but we feel that having this additional language would help make it clearer, to somebody wanting to build in either of these districts. So what the language calls for is drive-through lane location in T4 Hamlet Center Open and T4 Neighborhood Center zones. Drive-through lanes shall not be located between the front of the building and the primary street. For example, drive-through lanes shall not circulate around or through the building. That there, I think pretty much sums what the requirement is in the district, but we believe that states it much more clearly than going through all the district standards to come to that same conclusion. In addition, we have some language here for all drive-through developments in Beaufort County, reiterating that any use that generates over 50 peak hour trips, that we shall, require traffic impact analysis, that would be done in conjunction if it is getting a permit or development permit, or if it has to get a special use permit through the Zoning Board of Appeals. And that pedestrian pathways that cross stacking lanes shall be made prominent using raised pavement markings, or signage. And all of these things are designed to promote pedestrian safety in drive-through locations. In addition to this, when this went to our Planning Commission, at their December meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval, but they also wanted to see language added that would require when there is, and this is actually what the Planning Commission asked for, was that all drive-throughs were required to have a secondary access road that it empties to. We evaluated that request at the staff level and believed that would be too restrictive, because that would apply to every district, and that would greatly reduce the number of sites that drive-throughs could locate. But what we recommended is that where there is access to a secondary road, that the drive-through would use that access and have 2 means of either one means of ingress or one means of egress, or use both streets for their access. And so, as I said before, this went to the Planning Commission. They recommended approval of that condition. What you're seeing now has the amended language as I described. So,
Okay. Let's open it up for questions.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, Councilman Somerville.
Yeah, well, I want to zero in on this ingress and egress by primary and secondary roads. Did the planning commission say that they approve only with sole ingress and egress from secondary roads, or primary and secondary? I'm getting a little bit confused here.
Primary and secondary, but the way they worded it, it would require any drive-through to have access to a secondary road, which is not always the case. Not every site has.
So if there wasn't an
secondary
existing
corner road.
secondary road, they wouldn't have to.
Correct.
Yeah,
The way it's worded in our.
I'm a little out of my expertise here because I'm not a traffic engineer, but what I see scares me to death on these drive-throughs that already exist. When they have primary road access, to me, that's an accident waiting to happen and guaranteed to happen. Personally, again, I'll be glad to listen to arguments against it, but I can't see, given the roads we're talking about, Sea Island Parkway and Highway 21 and 170, I can't see us approving any more drive-throughs with primary road access. I think that's because they do back up. I mean, a traffic impact analysis can't possibly detect how many people are going to buy whatever it is that they're selling. Most of them are caffeine and sugar delivery systems, but some of them sell other stuff. But, I mean, it scares me. I'm not comfortable approving anything that allows primary road access. And I know you said the staff have talked about it, but, I mean, you've seen the Dunkin' Donuts on Highway 21. I'm amazed somebody hadn't been killed there already, because when you're coming down 21 towards the air station and you see the lights green and you're blowing on through there and there's traffic in both lanes and all of a sudden there's 10 cars stopped dead in front of you. I mean, that's beyond dangerous. I mean, as you say, Chick-fil-A has done a little something about internal stacking, but this primary road access scares me to death. So anything that has anything with primary road access, I'm gonna vote against it, because I just don't think it's safe. But that's just me.
Okay.
Other questions, anyone online, on Zoom? Councilman Glover, do you have any questions? You have in your district too, I think, or potential in your district. So, Councilman Somerville, would you want to amend this to state differently?
Yes, ma'am, I would. I don't know, I'm not exactly sure what I'm amending, because I don't have the,
Here's the,
oh, yeah, that's it,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
the highlighted yellow
Okay.
part. Is that? Well, and this is the other part. I'm sorry. Might need both sections.
I think we're talking about 4-1-70A. Not be located between, where it says for locations on corner lots, drive-through access shall occur from the side street. Well, a lot of them are not going to be corner lots.
Yeah. Like, yes, sir.
Yeah, the only thing I would caution council on, and we can, if you all want to send this forward, we can do some interpretations prior to council and come back with a recommendation to deal with your situation. I'm concerned that any wording that would say a drive-through could not have primary access. If you do allow any curb cut on a primary road for a restaurant that has a drive-through, then it would be very difficult to regulate whether or not that curb cut was for a drive-through or just, access to the restaurant. So
Yeah.
we may need to evaluate that at the staff level to recommend some wording to you all. So,
Well, are you saying that if there's a restaurant with a drive-through component, that they can have their cake and eat it too? They can say we're a restaurant for purpose of the curb cut, and then use the curb cut for the drive-through?
if we don't do the amendment in a manner that says if they're a restaurant on a primary road, they cannot have any type of access on the primary road, which I think,
Okay.
we would need to evaluate. I think it gets problematic from an enforcement standpoint. So if you all don't mind, allow staff some time to evaluate that, and we will bring some recommendations back to you prior to first reading at council.
Yeah, I'm good with that, and I'd like to hear some of the other council members weigh in on that when they've thought about it, because this primary access in the drive-throughs, and our community is unique because we don't have a lot of,
Secondary roads.
we don't have a lot of 6-lane highways.
No.
I mean, a lot of our roads are 2-lane highways, or 4-lane at the most. And when you start accessing off of that, it's,
Yeah, I think evident of the pandemic, all the drive-through restaurants, many of them, whether they're in northern Beaufort County or southern Beaufort County, my experience has been all of those drive-through restaurants are backing out into the travel lanes of roadways at this point, because one, people just aren't comfortable going into restaurants, or in the case of Chick-fil-A where I live, they're not opening up their restaurant because they are saving overhead costs by just using the drive-through.
well, to your point, I went to the bank, or tried to go to the bank this morning to deposit some checks, and I noted that the bank itself was closed. It's Monday, and it was open drive-through only. So I think you're going to see some things other than restaurants having drive-through, and I mean, dry cleaners maybe, well, dry cleaners for sure, and then you've got banks now, and the list goes on. So I think we need to, when we talk about what we're going to do, we need to think beyond restaurants and some of those other businesses that are adapting to drive-in because it's cheaper, it's more effective, cost efficient, or whatever it is that they.
That's a very good
The
point.
intent of the amendment was to send traffic through off the main road and not allow them to come back out onto the main road and to go out into a secondary drive. But, the concern that you have, I certainly understand that, and I agree with it. We just need to be careful about how we would word such an amendment to restrict access to properties, because many of these properties would only have access to a primary road.
Because I can't tell, looking at this, where I would stick my amendment anyway, so you all work on it. Yeah, that'd be great. And we can kick it around and see what council wants to do. They may not agree with me, so thank you.
Would you recommend that we table it or move it forward?
I would recommend that you move it forward, because we really need, because of the situation we have, we really need some action on this particular item.
Okay.
Because we may get some more of these before we deal with this. So if you all don't mind moving it forward with a recommendation of some type, then we will evaluate it and have modification language prior to first reading.
Okay.
For you all to amend on first reading.
I had one other kind of technical question, and I'm not a traffic engineer, but how do you determine if there's going to be 50 peak hour trips? I mean, it just depends. I mean, I could see a bank on Friday afternoon, like your example, having that, but not every day of the week,
I mean, the best source would be the ARMS manual.
Okay.
They have
ways to
formulas
calculate
for
that?
calculating.
Okay. For peak hour trips, okay.
But,
But it was,
we're kind of in a situation where the kind of an unknown territory.
right now, and it will probably continue.
Yeah.
Even as hopefully COVID goes away. I think some of these may never open up their small restaurant part again. Okay, all right, so I need a motion of some type to.
Alice, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Okay, in C, I do understand where it says drive-through lanes shall not be located between the front of the building and the primary street. But I don't understand the second part where it says, for example, drive-through lanes shall not circulate around or through the building. My experience with several of the Dunkin' Donuts and fast food restaurants, that's exactly what they do, is they have the drive-through starts on the side of the building, you pick up the food in the back of the building, and you drive around the front of the building to go out. So am I reading this incorrectly?
This applies to districts that are specifically designed to promote walkable communities. And so we have local examples of drive-throughs that are configured so that the entire circulation occurs either at the side or the rear of the building. So it allows the building to come up to the sidewalk, to be, more in an urban setting.
So it's almost like a case-by-case basis then?
Yes. In those districts, the other thing is that drive-through restaurants are a special use. So we would, at the staff level, evaluate the site plan, and then it goes before a zoning board of appeals. But in either way, we're encouraging the building to come right up to the street, with the storefront.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That helps me.
It might be helpful when you present, again, to show the example of what you just said, a picture tells it, and vice the other way, that we do allow it to happen.
Yeah. And we do have,
an example,
especially in Northern Beaufort County, many local examples.
Okay.
Some of the newer fast food restaurants have it in the side or the rear of the building.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions before the motion made? You ready to make a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I move that we vote to move this forward to council with the stipulation that staff will evaluate and be prepared to present us with some alternative language which prohibits primary road access.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Jim.
Second by Councilman Glover. Okay. Without exception, this will move forward with the stipulations that we discussed. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, number 12 on the agenda is that was executive session. I'm sorry. I think unless there's other business, do we have anything else to come forward? We're good? All right, meeting stands adjourned. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.